Hello, Oracles. Well, why are Tesla stock bulls turning into bears? We're going to get into that in a minute. There's a lot of psychological stuff that is going on out there, but I just wanted to get into a few pieces of news first to get into that, and some of this actually plays a role in why we are seeing a lot of bulls turning into bears. Now, before we jump into this, tonight we will be having on here for the first time Tesla Herbert. So Herbert Ong will be on tonight about 6 p.m. Eastern time. I will send you guys out the link over on Twitter, or you'll see it on here later tonight. He and I will be discussing production and delivery numbers, Q4 earnings that are coming up, and a lot of what we are about to discuss today. So first thing in the news, we are getting that Tesla has officially started building their lithium refining factory down in Corpus Christi, Texas. This here is slated to be up and running and producing lithium by 2024. So Elon just told us recently that this was coming, and here it is now starting to be built. Next is the China CPCA numbers for deliveries for wholesale coming out of China. So we've got over there 55,796 vehicles being sold over in China in the month of December. This puts them right in line with Q3 for all of Q4. So not a lot of growth. We obviously saw a lot of different headwinds going on over there. And if we look at vehicle sales overall over there, they were about flat quarter to quarter as well. So they've been flat. Tesla was flat. We are seeing some other manufacturers that are climbing. BYD is doing very well. So this is definitely something to be paying attention to. Obviously, we've got export delivery waves, different things that are going on that are different between Tesla and BYD, but it would be nice to see Tesla growing also. We'll start monitoring as we go into this year to make sure that we are back on track the way we want to be. And some other news we had gotten out yesterday seemed like Tesla supposedly filed for electric motors for boats and planes and a few other things. And like, this was awesome. We were thinking about the pipeline. What else is in here? We know Tesla has teased potentially doing like their own electric cargo ships. That made sense. Elon has said electric planes are on the radar. But we come to find out this was just a fan who had filed for this without Tesla having any knowledge of this whatsoever. So as exciting as that was, and as much as I can see Tesla potentially going in that direction in the future, it sounds like this was not a Tesla official thing. This was just a fan who did this for them. So again, we do have Investor Day coming up on March 1st, where they will be explaining to us what they have that's going on, but I don't think that we are going to be hearing about boats or planes or anything of that nature. And the last thing for the news that we're going to talk about is on the macro level, and this is what ties in to why bulls are turning into bears. So we got the FOMC minutes yesterday for their meeting that they had back in December, and three major points on this are they are going to continue raising rates. That is going to be the biggest concern. That's the reason why big tech stocks and most of the market have been collapsing down that the way they have. So because of that, interest rates going up even more, Fed saying this, we're going to see even more of a pullback, most likely in the market. The next piece of information was that the Fed said that they will not be lowering rates in 2023 at all. So we will not see a pivot in 2023 based on the information that we have right now, which means that as we were talking about before, the Fed's going to go up on rates. Right now their target is around that 5.1%. They will hit that, and then they will pause and wait to see what happens with inflation and jobs and everything around that number when they get to it. And then the last thing they said is when it comes to that point, and it's not like they're definitely not going to be lowering rates this year, they still need to monitor the data. If the data shows that they can come down on the rates and pivot in 2023, they will. But as of right now, they do not have any plans for that. So again, we're going to go through another year like we did last year, where we're just monitoring month to month. What is the data looking like on a month-to-month basis? And let's see what we need to do from here. It's going to be just another year of that, but we won't have the same interest rate hikes like we had last year. So eventually we will hit that point where the Fed is going to pause. That there to me is going to be basically the bottom of the market. So that's kind of what I'm paying attention to, is that timing is going to be about the same. I think that's going to be happening in March. If anyone has seen that graph that is out there showing a tech bubble or any sort of stock bubble that we're in, where it goes up, all the enjoyment, the euphoria, then we come crashing down to anger and fear and depression and capitulation. If any of you guys have seen that chart, I will get it on here the next time I do the other format. But when we look at that right now, judging by the sentiment in the Tesla community right now, we're probably right past the capitulation point and heading into or in anger at the moment. That there means that we still have a little bit more of a dip to go, and then a little bit more after that to go into what we call depression mode before we then come up. I think the timing of that is going to be synonymous with the Fed pausing the rates. I think we'll come down to that depression point when the Fed says, all right, we are going to pause. Then we can kind of do our uncertain climb on the way back out. So when it comes to why bulls are turning into bears, the number one reason, the stock price. So, you look in the Tesla community right now, everyone is out here. Some people are looking at Elon buying Twitter and all the drama over there, Elon's political tweets. We've got people now saying the fundamentals of the company aren't doing as well because of the China demand. So obviously, all of these things and factors are out there, and they are happening, and they are true. But if the stock price was not where it's at right now, and it was over $300 or pushing all-time highs, I guarantee you Elon could literally go over and take a dump on President Biden, and we would all be like, ha ha ha, that's what you get. You deserve that for taking a dump on Tesla. That's the sentiment that we would have out there if the stock price was higher, but it's not. So people are out here and they're getting upset. That's the anger portion. We are in the anger portion where people are mad about why is the stock price down? I need to figure out why. And I'm mad at Elon for making political tweets. And if Elon didn't buy Twitter, he wouldn't be saying these things. And then we wouldn't have the Twitter files. And we're mad. It's like Tesla's obviously got a demand problem because we've got, sales are down over in China. There are some things to pay attention to. On the fundamental level, yes, we want to make sure that Tesla over in China is going to be doing well. We want to make sure that the 4680 ramp is doing what it needs to be doing. Right now, we have a lot of narrow thinking. We've been talking about it all the time. When you go into a bear market and you get PE compression, PE is really just, a length of time that you're investing in a company for. So, 50 times earnings growth is what we would see in, a stock for that's 50 years worth of growth for a company. Well, right now in a PE compression time frame, that whole time frame mentality is shrinking down. Right now, that mindset is, what are you doing for me right now? Right now, all Tesla is doing for anyone is selling cars. That's it. Yes, we're seeing energy ramping, but not to any point where it's actually making a monster difference on the bottom line. So that's really what it comes down to, and that's where the thinking is. So when we've got a lot of bulls that are out there that are turning into bears, a lot of it is just because of the sentiment and emotional swings that they are seeing based upon the price of the stock. Most of them still see a very bullish long term for the stock. Last night, I was on an awesome Twitter space with Fosky and Amy Sober, and that was one of the things that was brought up. We had Wax Circus come out and explain how this is why this is going on. It's just a lot of emotional pulls that are happening in the stock market. And you have to think about the fact that realistically, there are things that are heavier than Tesla. When you are so bullish on a company that you can see and you in your mind think that this company is bigger and stronger than any other company out there, I won't disagree. They are. But the problem is they're not stronger than the economy. They're not stronger than the Fed. What's happening in the macro environment is going to win the day. You see it pull down every company in the stock market in the tech sector alone. That there itself means that the Fed is stronger than Tesla. So that's just a battle that Tesla is facing right now. So obviously, as we spoke before, until the Fed pauses, we are going to see this pressure. Tesla is not going to be strong enough to outperform the Fed. It's just not going to happen. But when you look historically at how about every 10 years we go through these times of recessions and bear markets, it's needed. This is a very good thing and very healthy thing for the market right now. It flushes out dead weight and will allow companies like Tesla to come out stronger on the other side. Even on the other side, it's still not going to be stronger than the Fed, but it's going to be an even stronger company than it is right now. So when it comes to these bulls turning over into bears, some of them are seeing this, and this is what they're trying to portray, is the fact that we are going to be very bearish on Tesla for, next 6 to 12 months just because the Fed is causing this to happen. The Fed, and it's not just because the Fed has interest rates going up, causing the stock price to come down. When you have a global recession, it hits all automotive companies altogether. It's just naturally what happens. So Tesla is feeling this. We also have to remember that since Tesla has been a publicly traded company, we have not been through an extended bear recession type scenario like this ever. We had that 2018 type time where, it came down, then the Fed pivoted quickly and, the stock market went back up again. That was it. We had COVID. That was a quick V-bounce crash. We haven't had this drawn out recession bear market since Tesla has been a publicly traded company. So no investor in this company right now, for Tesla specifically, has been through this. So we're seeing a lot of these emotions. What made it even worse was the fact that we ran to a FOMO fluff-filled all-time high in a bubble that was filled with a bunch of margin. That all now getting flushed out, we went from extreme highs to now extreme lows. That emotional swing weighs a lot on a lot of people. A lot of these bulls that were out there as well we're all in different financial situations. For me, I'm kind of on the realistic side of things, but my portfolio is still small. I don't have all of my net worth in there. I'm not trying to retire and live on Tesla at the moment. Some people are. I'm not going to come out here and slander anybody. I am not one who talks negatively about anyone. I look at some people out there who are potentially struggling with what's happening right now. They're going through some emotional swings. I want to help support them and remind them of what we have going on, remind them of who they were, because a lot of times right now they're kind of in panic mode. Some people have been through recessions before where it just completely burned them. And what they're doing right now is just protecting themselves. Elon said it himself, he went through it when he was with PayPal. He did it at the beginning when Tesla and SpaceX were just starting to take off. He went through both of those recessions and it almost killed his companies every time. So this time around, he kind of went into panic mode, but he prepared himself. Of course, it caused all of us to freak out because he was selling stock in order to protect himself and his companies. And we were all just freaking out. And that was another part of what led to a lot of this capitulation and anger and all of this resentment and a lot of bulls changing over to bears. So everything stems to the stock price itself. If the stock price was doing fine, none of this would be happening. But when we're looking at the reasons why the stock price is where it's at, it really comes down to the Fed, and then all of the bulls switching to bears, are just doing what is best for them and their financial situation right now. And in that turn, they're just explaining their reasoning behind it. And that is the reason. And people are allowed to make the decisions that they want to make for their own portfolios. And it's very important and healthy for people to go through and express themselves when they're handling very difficult emotional situations like this. When they go there, they're just letting it out. So I know a lot of people over on Twitter are seeing this, and I'm getting a lot of comments and a lot of discussions over on Twitter about people flip-flopping one way or the other, going so drastically from bull to bear. And let these people do their thing. You don't have to feel the way they feel. If you disagree with them, that's fine. You don't need to come down and beat them. I'm not one myself to kick somebody when they're down. I'm going to help support them and help them get through that. I cannot be the one who's going to be a crutch underneath them either. Just kind of be that listening ear. Let them vent to you. They'll work their way through it. Tesla as a company is going to, do what it needs to do to get to the other side. And when we get to that point where the Fed pauses and then makes that pivot, we will start to see everything turn around again. But in this case, it's actually going to be in a much healthier manner, because this time we've now learned a big lesson about margin, about fluff, about FOMO. We're going to have a lot more bulls that are more on the conservative side of things, and this will end up leading to a healthier growth in the stock price itself, and we won't see this FOMO bubble like we did before. Now, we will get back into some times where we're not going to have a rising interest rate environment. Margin will be safer to get back into, so we will see some nice fluff coming into the stock, and that's going to be healthy for the entire market, so there's nothing wrong with that. But we won't see the amount that we saw over the last 2 years, where we saw that massive bubble that has now popped. And again, that popping is a major reason why these bulls switched over to bears, and all of the drama and everything that we are hearing about is them just justifying it and coming up with the reasoning behind why they are doing what they're doing and why they're feeling the way they are feeling. It's really all it is. So, if you see any bulls out there that have flip-flopped to a bear, please just take a step back and understand that this is just them, emotionally going through some of the distraught and grief of what is happening in the stock price itself. And some were stuck, some were in an echo chamber. Some believed that Tesla was, invincible and they could not get fazed by any of this. Now they're understanding this. And to them, because they hadn't seen it before, they saw their invincible giant that was out there now being wounded. It's very disturbing to a lot of them, and they're just trying to emotionally understand how that is even possible. So please just bear with them, no pun intended, but it's just something important to understand that these people are just being good, and I admire them for coming out and showing this emotion and expressing themselves in public like this. Again, it's good and healthy for them to do that. So try to give them some support. Try to remind them and say, hey, don't forget, these are the things that Tesla has going on. Don't get into arguments. It's just a matter of, keeping open, gentle conversations with most of them. And we'll start to see that sentiment turn, because the more other bulls beat down these bulls, it's going to give them even more reason to be more bearish. So that's just my psychology lesson for the day when it comes to a lot of these, when it comes to the Twitter drama. That's going to go away and simmer a little bit. And again, once we come out of this economy that we're in and everything is allowed to grow again, the sentiment is naturally going to change. And so again, for me, we saw that nice 5% gain yesterday. I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't think this is something that's going to continue running. I do think we still have a little bit more of the anger phase to go through, and then I think we slide down into that depression phase. But again, that's more overall macro environment related and not as much Tesla specific. Tesla's just feeling it worse than everyone else because there was so much extra fluff that was built into it. It just kind of needs to get flushed out. So again, for me right now, the bottom I see as a probable bottom is $80. Worst case scenario is we fill that gap down to $57, and we may end up hitting $100 and have enough buyers coming in at that point to balance us there. And then from here on out, we really just have to wait on what the Fed says. Because again, going into recessionary times, I can come up with, what I think are going to be, these scenarios for a bottom for Tesla stock. But who knows what kind of recession we're going to get into. It could be even worse than we thought. It could be worse than 2009, and the stock can pull down even further. So a lot of these bulls that have switched over to bears are just thinking a really, really worst case scenario, which is in some cases almost Gordon Johnson-like thoughts. And what they're doing for themselves is just protecting their own portfolios and investments so that in case we do get down to those worst case scenarios, they will be safer for it. So I hope that explained a lot of this to you. And again, I'm not going to point fingers and name names. I have reached out to a couple of them. So if they are comfortable coming on here and discussing it with you guys, I will have them on here. But again, I'm not one to ever point negatives at people. It's just a matter of let's try to support them. Let's be a supportive community, because right now Tesla Q is laughing at all of us because we're all just bickering with each other, and we are our own Tesla Q, where Tesla Q can now just sit back and be like, haha, we told you so. And it's not a matter of, us doing it back to them. Let's just kind of, knock that high school and middle school drama BS off. But let's be supportive of our own community and stop yelling at them and being mad because they are seeing things in a different light now that we have seen things going on with the macro and the economy. And you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What other things have you seen out there? And is there anybody that you would like me to have on the channel? I know we talked about it the other day for any other special guest, which again, we will be having Herbert on tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern time. But if there's anybody else in this specific scenario who is a bull that has gone bear that you want to see if I can have on here to discuss just this, let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all of the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. We do have a Discord chat. That link is down in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, we do have a membership program and a Patreon. Those links are also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one.